What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Apex, the podcast, the Esports World Cup minisode series. You guys showed up big time for the first minisode. Really surprised me for like a random little small 30-minute episode. Shout out you guys. Shout out the listeners. Y'all are the best. We got a ton of storylines here today. No disrespect to the group stage day one. You did not even compare to group stage day two, not even a little bit. The going into the final game, we had a team jump from 16th to 6th in an insane run. Just we'll get to that later. Lots of storylines. Basically, the entire storyline of the day summed up can just be said as you were never safe. The only team that ever had any sort of safety was our winner, Alliance. Other than that, nobody was safe, and there are a ton of teams that we expected to do well that did. I don't want to say horrible because they were just a few points off, but there was one team that we will get to that I'm sure you already know, Connor, at the bottom there. That's like, what the hell was that? But before we get into all of that, Connor, you said you had our stats from our picks yesterday. Very curious about that.
Yeah, so for our picks yesterday, we did awful. I got 4 out of 9, and Wyatt got 2 out of 9.
I really am just the Grim Reaper. I'm just the Grim Reaper of teams that, you know what, when I pick, no, I can't even say it because if I say it, it won't come true. Yeah, I am a Grim Reaper. What were the two teams I said? Alliance and
Fnatic.
And Fnatic, okay.
Yeah.
We said Elevate was going to, we both left Elevate off the list. They literally got third place.
Yeah.
Like they fucking shit on everybody. So we, it's, we're not great at this. We're not great at picking things, but nobody said we were great at picking things. We're just great at breaking things down. So let's go through and talk about these games. Before we get into all of the brass tacks with all the teams where they place, all that kind of stuff, I do want to throw out potentially a hot take out there for what we could do in the future of ALGS. And I really do love the 10 games format. Yesterday, we did complain and say, kind of complain, and say it feels a little long. But I think what this does is, like, when we're watching match days in ALGS, one win basically catapults you into a great day. It doesn't really matter how good or bad you do, because we've seen teams get like 18th, 17th, 11th with one kill, and then they get one win, and all of a sudden they're going to get some points. What this 10th place does is with these 10 games, what it does is it makes it to where, like, you have to have a much more consistently good day in order to be able to qualify for whatever you need to qualify for. And I didn't really realize it until I watched today. But now that I think about it more, maybe even just 8 games, if we could get 8 games in our own match days, I think that would be a much more beneficial change for teams to really show who are the best teams out there. Because, like I said, one win a lot of times can absolutely change a team's day. And, I don't know. I just want to get more like a more accurate description of which team should be going and which one shouldn't. I know they'll probably never do it just because, that would take a lot more time. But that was my thoughts. You have any updates on things you saw at the on the broadcast?
I really like that. I mean, first off, that take, I really like that, actually. I mean, we had, I think out of all 10 games today, there was not a single repeat winner in any game. So we had 10 different team winners. 2 of those obviously got eliminated. So, yeah, definitely, I like having the more consistent days. Even, like, towards the end, like, game 7 through 10, I mean, it was just hype the whole time. You know, you comparing points here and there. And, I mean, we had 4 teams tied for 11th at 49 points. That's just insane.
Dude,
like,
it was crazy.
It was anybody's game, so
it was crazy.
It was definitely very entertaining today.
Yeah, and going back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast, that yesterday does not even compare to today. Falcons can be the best at everything in the world. They are the thieves of joy, though, because I was just so much more happy watching these games. and they'll probably never be able to win the most exciting day because they're always just going to be not exciting by just winning everything. So that's the one thing they can't win unless tomorrow they just, or sorry, Sunday, they just have a nail biter going into the end, but I doubt it. Okay, let's run through these placements real quick and then we can go through the games. And I have some stats. I'm sure you have some stats. We came a little bit more prepared today. We are working men. All right. So for us, yesterday was a little tough trying to get all the information together. It's a Friday night. We can stay up a little bit later, watch these games, go through these things, and same for Saturday and Sunday. Let's run through the positions here. Alliance is obviously the winner. They won with 107 points and they cleared the rest of the leaderboard. They started off the day with the banger, and then I think their first 3 games, first, third, second. So they really kind of controlled the day from start to finish. ExoClan, we're going to get into them later, but I really like this team, ExoClan. Third place was E8 Gaming. That is E8 and Bleed put together, as well as, I guess you could say Complexity, because Lou is there as well. And then we got Mizuchi. Now, here's one thing that we both did not know. I don't think we knew that Mizuchi was moist. I don't think we had any clue. I had no clue that Mizuchi really was didn't. Moist. Yeah. Are they not with Moist anymore? Or is this just like a...
I think it's just a temporary thing for the EWC.
Their jerseys are fucking sick.
They are so
Their
dope.
jerseys are so sick. Shout out Mizuchi, though. They get 4th place. And then to round out the rest of the top 9, we got Blacklist, Dragons Esports, LGD, Fnatic, and DMS. Now, the separation between making the top 9 and 10th and below was literally 2 points. DMS with 52, and then we'll go through our teams that are going to be relegated down to the losers bracket. We got Virtus Pro, we've got TSM, we've got Weibo Gaming, Navi, NRG, HOW, Northeption, TIE, Space Station, and Heroes. And then our one team that will be eliminated is Riddle Order. If you really want to know how much of a Grim Reaper I am, yesterday I said on the show, people are saying that me and my co-host Chris on the Grab My Banner podcast put Riddle on the map. We weren't saying that, though. Others were saying that. I was saying that. I was saying I put Riddle on the map. And then guess what happens? They get fucking dead last the next day. I'm legitimately, they need to lock me up, dude. I should not have a microphone in front of me. I should not have any takes whatsoever. Riddle Order, they get sent home in a blaze of glory. It looked like from basically the start of the day, they weren't gonna do it. They already had struggled at Split One LAN. And so, they just didn't have it on this day. They had to do an interview afterwards, which sucks. And then they had to get their key crushed. They had to give their key up to the key master. They just game 10 ends. They don't even interview the winning team first. They go straight to Riddle. They're like, "Hey, you guys didn't do well today. How does that feel?" I was like, damn, I don't know whose idea that was. I don't know. I felt bad. I felt bad for the Riddle boys, but we'll see what happens going forward. They did the interview with a lot of grace. So that rounds out the entire leaderboard of the day. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the top 9, bottom 9? Where do you want to start?
I think we start with the bottom 9. The teams
there's some surprises here, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
so
first off, right off the bat, we got to talk SSG. I mean,
that's the big.
I just don't even know
SSG
what was going on.
Looked so bad. They looked so bad. They were not getting any kills. I mean, when you look at their beginning day, you were like, okay, SSG is going to be fine, right? Because they were getting placement. They just weren't killing anybody. So you're just like, oh, yeah, that's all right. They're going to be all right. But then it just spanned throughout the entire rest of the day. They get 16th, they get 13th, they get 15th, they get 17th. And you're just like, okay, hold on. Is there a chance that SSG just straight up doesn't make it? And not only do they not make it, but they're down at 18th. They were never in any sort of fear of being eliminated, but it just never felt like they had any sort of gusto moving forward. It always seemed like every fight they were going into, they were down a guy already, and or somebody would get roasted immediately. I saw Phony go down early on a fight on Storm Point, I believe. I also saw Zainu go down early on a fight. I saw Koifel go down on a fight early. I think once again on Storm Point. Like it seemed like they were always fighting 2v3, and they even had some fights where they were. It was like inexplicable. Like there was a game on World's Edge where they decided to rush. I think it was Navi sitting inside of a truck outside of Tree, and there were so many teams. Like the second they start going down the hill, it was like 5 teams come out of the
Yeah.
woodwork, and they're all right there. And Koifel was left on his own vices, and he couldn't survive because there's like 1,000 ults going off. He's by himself. It just they never felt like they had anything going. And sometimes that happens. I did see in chat, and I didn't actually get to look it up myself, so this could be some bad info. But I did see in chat somebody said like Space Station has been playing or having a tough day today, but they also have been getting terrible zones, which I'd have to go back and look at the zones where they were landing and how the zones were pulling. But we could say the same thing that we said for KCP yesterday. They went 1
Yeah.
for 10 on beacons, right?
Yep.
So that could be the issue. Did you have anything else on SSG?
Yeah, I mean, the team fighting just really wasn't there. I mean, if you're not getting kills, that means one, you're not team fighting well, and either that or you're not getting to zone and picking people off at a distance. So they just couldn't get anything going today. That's just what it looked like to me. Just maybe a bad day. So
Yeah, the team fighting was not there. And Jayhawk on the broadcast, he said something that I found very important. And I think this leads back to my earlier point of the 10 games. In the 6-game sets that we have in ALGS, you get one win. Like I said, it's very easy to be able to get good points on the day. Like even if you have the rest of the day that's not great, you'll probably get 10th, 11th, 12th, which isn't ideal, but it's decent, right? Like
yeah,
it's not going to break the bank. It's not going to be a 20th. Jayhawk was saying on the broadcast, teams are really going to have to start prioritizing kills because you can't just get by on placement anymore when
no,
there's 10 games. Placement won't get you anything when there's 10 games. You need to start getting kills. You need to start getting bodies, and they haven't been getting any bodies. I think their highest today was 6. Let me see. No, 5. That was their
5.
highest kill
Yeah,
count on the day, and there was a lot of zeros here. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half the games they got 0 kills. So you're not going to be able to do a whole lot with that when the team fighting is off. We talked about this team being potentially a super team, adding Koifel, and I don't know if Phony's struggling with some of the calls right now. I don't know if it's just a weird miscommunication when they get into fight, but that's the big surprise here was Space Station Gaming. Some other notable ones: NRG, TSM. You could say VP, you could say Navi. Which one do you want to go with there?
I think we got to go TSM. I mean, that's a team you expect, to be in that top 9. Even with the recent changes to the roster, they got set their second place in North American Pro League, so you definitely expect them to be up there. But today they definitely really struggled. They definitely had a couple tough breaks in some games, and they even got a first place. But again, to not a ton of kills in their games. I think their highest was 6. Yeah, 6. It looks like so. They were finding, their way into zone, but just not getting some of those kills again. So
The only thing I wish with Esports World Cup is I wish all these guys could stream individually, because when we have regular ALGS, we're able to go back to a lot of these teams. They have VODs
mhm.
up, somebody's streaming on one of the teams, and we could look and see what went wrong. There was a lot of times that TSM died that I didn't really get to see what happened because it happened off screen. They were looking at some other fight or some
Yeah,
other rotate or something. So, especially in the final game, all of a sudden, Vicky Kitty's like, TSM is dead.
yeah,
And you're like, what? Because you knew that they had to have a really good game, and they died super early. I think they were 18th, 17th, something like that. But once again, this goes back down to that point. They get a win. They get a 6-kill win on this day. But the rest of their games, it was very similar to SSG, always going into the next fight down a guy. It just seemed like there was always somebody else dead, and they were playing 2v3 or sometimes even 1v3. They had to rat. I will say this: Zapdo had a crazy rat play on World's Edge
he did.
where there was, I think it was VP. He's in like the rocks outside of what's it, Lava Siphon?
Yeah, lava siphon. Yep.
Yeah, so he's in the rocks, climbing around, trying to avoid grenades. He's dodging them. They're throwing grenades, knuckle clusters. They're shooting at him. He's climbing up and around these rocks, hiding in crevices to stay alive. Finally, they have to leave, so they evac over into mod stacks, and he just follows their Eva or their balloon, hops on it, goes back there, and then he's able to survive for a little bit longer. So there are some good rat plays that are being made, but rat plays are rat plays. Those aren't going to get you kills unless you're sweet. Those aren't going to get you good placement unless you can really find a cubby hole, which it's hard to do in those mod stacks zones at the end there. That game ended up being a zone off. Like it was,
Yeah.
people died in zone on that game. So yeah, it just feels like constantly they're down somebody, and it goes back to the team fighting. I'm going to throw another hot take at you, and me and Donnie talked about this a lot. I understand why you have Zap on Bangalore because you want your IGL to be your Bangalore. But when Evan is on Bang, it unlocks something else in him when they're team fighting. I feel like Evan should be on Bang. Right now they're having him on Pathfinder. I don't know. I haven't watched him too much on Path. I would assume he has good skill. He's a great player. But like when Evan was on Bangalore, they get second place in NA. There
Yeah.
was the one time they switched to Cat. They were playing like shit. They switch him mid-series. They bounce back a little bit, then go back to Bangalore, and they start winning off, rattling get. Like I think Evan has to be on the Bangalore. That could be a hot take. I don't know. I understand why people would want the IGL on Bang with Zap on Bang, but I just feel like he's got to be the one with the smokes. I think Evan is the guy that they really need to activate here because once again, we just talked about it with Jayhawk. You need to start getting kills. Even if they don't, even if they get better placement today, some of their matches are just terrible placement. They're still not getting kills. Like maybe they squeak in at 9th or 8th. That's not going to win you this tournament. You
No.
know, like you need
No.
to start finding ways to get kills here. This is a team that I still think could get top 2 tomorrow. We're going to go through those
Yeah.
predictions here in a little bit, but yeah, that's where I'm at with TSM. NRG was also a weird one. It just, I don't know what's going on with just teams always down a guy. But that's kind of where a lot of these teams were at most of the day. Energy was another one. Energy
Yeah.
was another one. So,
In in that
go ahead.
last game too for NRG, I think it was Nocturnal kind of walks out. They've got this rock that they're sitting behind, and it's good cover in final zone or one of the final zones, and he just walks out to the right way too far and gets beamed from height and just dies almost for free. And
Yeah.
they do get a respawn beacon. They try to respawn him, but Dragons actually full sends them just zip lines on him, and they had a chance to get in that top 9 because they were only down 2-3 points. So,
Mm-hmm.
but just it feels like it was just a lazy play to walk out, like that
Mm-hmm.
to the launcher. So
Yeah. So those were the big ones there. Those are the most notable ones. And the crazy thing is, we can say that a lot of these teams weren't playing well. Really, all of these teams were separated by just a couple points to get in here. So going into the losers tomorrow, we talked about yesterday how stacked this losers lobby is going to be. It's going to be very stacked.
yeah,
It is going to be very stacked. There's some really good teams in this losers lobby. We'll cover that at the end of the pod. Let's get to the winners here. I want to start off by, I think we have to talk about Dragon Esports first. Dragon was in the final game, 16th place. They absolutely carve everybody up, and they get a win in the final game with 14 bodies. Dragon Esports from South America. Both South American representatives are going to be in the winners in the finals. This is a region that, when we started this podcast, was getting shit on relentlessly. I think like Finn and Enoch would make some jokes, mostly Finn, I think, just talking about how like South America is not quite there. And, maybe those roster spots should go elsewhere. Eventually, that's what ALGS does. I think they give 2 invites to South America, but there wasn't like that region wasn't getting, roster spots anymore, as many as they were getting before. So for South America, for them to come out like this and pop off, and especially that play you were talking about going on to NRG, where they zip line on top of NRG to be like, hey, we're going to, not only are we going to try to get in here, we're going to try to get as much points as we possibly can to get up and down this board. I think at that point they had already secured getting into the top 9, but they weren't satisfied with it. They're like, we're going to go further than that. It's a huge play, and it's a huge moment for South America. I desperately want to get somebody from Dragon Esports on the pod, desperately, because that entire last game I think could be a 30-minute episode all on its own.
Oh yeah, Yeah, no, I really like the. It just felt like it was. You know what? Screw it. This is the last game. We're putting everything on the line, and they just win for everything, and they drop 14 bodies. So we love to see it.
It's something we don't see as much anymore, too.
No.
Like, maybe it's because we watch so much NA, but I feel like there's very rarely a situation where there's a team that just throws care into the wind and says, we're going to do whatever we can to make sure we're locked in here. And it's poetic how well they did in that final game. I loved it. Was there a team you wanted to highlight from the top 9 here?
I think definitely Mizuchi. They just looked, even though they didn't take first place or second place, I think they just look like they're firing a lot better than they have been before. I mean, Timmy's just insane on that team, so they looked really good today. Fnatic always looks really good, really confident in team fights. So those were my 2 teams that I was really watching from the winners side.
Fnatic was surprising me a little bit with some of their decision making. There was an early game, I think it was game 1. They kill Zach Mazer because they're like, I think they're playing C-Note, and Zach goes off on his own a little bit more towards Mill. So then Fnatic knows that he's going to split off on his own. They kill him, and then they're like, hey, we're just going to go. When they go res him, we're going to kill the whole team. They go into the storm to do it, and they lose the fight. Like, it just felt like their decision was a little bit off. They still obviously walk away with a KP there. And, they end up qualifying. They do get a win on Olympus, which was a crazy, crazy game. Very similar to the Kings Canyon game. But I don't know. I just felt like we didn't see the best out of Fnatic today. And even though we didn't, they still qualified. But they were pretty close. Like, going into the final game, there was like some worry. We were a little worried there on how that was going to go. I want to highlight something else from, it doesn't really, pertain to a top 9 team, although 2 of them it does. We had a stretch of 3 games where the 20th place team won, the 19th place team won, and the 18th place team won. And that just shows the entire personality of the day. It was Weibo, DMS, and LGD. And DMS and LGD, they end up making it in. DMS is our final spot. They get 52 points. That characterizes the entire day. That just sums it up in the absolute craziness that was this whole day. It was awesome to watch. It was so interesting. It was so cool. LGD was really surprising. It's hard because I want to go back and watch some of these POVs and see what exactly was hitting for some of these teams. And it's hard because obviously we don't have those, but LGDs seem to always be in the mix of things. So that's really all I can say, is they always seem to be in the mix of things. Let's talk a little bit about E8 real quick. E8, there were some major moments of good. There were some major moments of bad. But at the end of the day, this team looked really, really good. And we have to throw our hands up and say our bad, because we both left them off the list. And I think what we forgot is this isn't the NA E8 team. This is E8 with Zach Mazer. This is E8 with Lou, who was probably most underrated player in NA. And then with Noct.
Yeah.
So this is a completely different team with three really good players, and they showed that today. I think they had a 16 kill win. Like they were
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, they were firing. Um what do you think, like, does that affect E8 moving forward, do you think?
Dude, I thought about this. Like Zach and Noct have played together already. We had the
Yeah.
Justice for Noct situation. I believe they got second place with Naughty when they were on Cloud9 together. They come into this. I mean, if they place well enough, like I wonder what that does to their situation when they come home. And like depending on how they do at Split 2 LAN, if they think like, hey, like
Yeah.
we were kind of like good together, you
Yeah.
know? And Lou, I was thinking about Lou today, bro. I feel like you could put Lou on any roster and he would thrive. I think Lou is
Yeah.
such a good player. He is such a good player. He just fries. There was the one game on World's Edge near the end of the day where I think they get third, but they know they get third. They know they're going to get third, and Lou just swings out there, gets two bodies before they die. It's like his mindset right now is insane. Like he has just been on a different kind of level. And I look at the teams that all three of them are on, and really the most successful one is Bleed, so Knocked, and they consistently get fifth or sixth place always. That's the joke we make. But is that you're not in this competition to get fifth or sixth place. You're
Hmm.
you're you're in it to win it, and they've almost won it together. And then you throw Lou on that roster. I just wonder. I wonder if that's something that gets looked at moving forward, or if it's just like, hey, this was just Esports World Cup. We were just having
Yeah.
some fun.
I guess you still got to take into consideration this is still technically group stage. It's like,
Hmm.
what if they just,
They could flame out.
yeah, they
Yeah,
could fall apart finals, but
yeah. Especially with no POI draft. Like
yeah,
you know, we already saw what happened with Zach at the last time he was contested in a finals. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully he makes an adjustment. Yeah. So those were some of the other things. Exo Clan. I wanted to shout out Exo Clan because they had a great day. They were the only other team I was never really worried about, and I also want to shout out Exo Clan because they landed at my favorite place on Olympus. They landed at Carrier. And I was like, whoever lands Carrier, I'm rooting for them, and they landed Carrier, and they almost won that fucking game. I think they got like third.
yeah,
So shout out to my favorite place, BBD Carrier. Love to see Exo Clan. They were popping off. I believe they're EMEA, right?
yeah. That's Case Swinney.
Yeah. So Exo Clan, shout out them. It seemed like they were always in the mix as well, always seemingly in a high position and getting kills on people. So any other team, any other thing you want to bring up here?
Um,
Because I got one.
you got one? Go ahead.
Yeah. The zones.
Oh
What are
yeah,
these zone polls are making no sense right now. These zone polls are making zero sense right now. There was the one on World's Edge where everybody thinks it's going Skyhook. It pulled. Not a single team was in the zone. Not a
yeah,
single team was in the zone. And then it was a bloodbath, an absolute bloodbath. The funniest part was the two maps where the zones went exactly where people thought was Olympus and Broken Moon. The rest of the day, like there was a zone here or there that was close, but like it just seemed like every zone was pulling in an insane fashion. I feel like you just kind of have to like that's kind of why ExoClan was doing so well in some of these games. They were waiting out and seeing where this zone was going before they would go, especially on one of their wins. They just kind of got lucky with the wait.
yeah,
Even Dragons at the end on Storm Point, they're waiting outside zone, seeing where it goes. All of a sudden, they're automatically on top of those two buildings deep inside. What is that POI on where you're in the water
on which map?
on Storm Point? The final game, that zone,
Oh,
that
that's
POI.
oh, I can't even think of the name of it now.
It's not. I want to say
Fish?
it's
Is it like fish farms or something? I don't know.
where it used to be. It might be. It was where Team Liquid and Moist were contesting at the beginning of the split, but I forgot what it's called.
Gale Station.
Yes, it's
There's
like where
Gale
all the
Station,
water
and
is.
then Fish Farms is off to the right with all the water.
They were just on top of those two buildings, and that was just from them waiting. So
Yeah.
that I'm interested to see what happens in losers tomorrow, if there's going to be more edge teams versus zone teams because of how crazy some of these polls have been. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's get into the last chance lobby here. Let's get some predictions out, but let's talk about it first. Some of the notable teams in this lobby. We got Crazy Raccoons, which is formerly Reject Winity, who just won Split One Land. We've got Disguised. We've got Guild Esports, that's APAC South. We've got Makers, that's APAC South. Got NRG, Navi, Ninjas in Pajamas, Pioneers, Space Station, TSM, Virtus Pro. That's just to name some of the notable teams. There's also a lot of other teams that were performing decently in both of their lobbies. What do we think for tomorrow? Because this is a stacked lobby.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really gonna go whoever just shows up that day. I mean, it could go any one of these teams' ways. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a crazy day tomorrow. Um, so we'll see what happens. But
Do you want to do prediction right now?
you got one?
I feel like whatever I say, I'm putting that team in a coffin and sending them straight back home.
Can I also?
So I might just pick based off logo.
There you go.
Shitty logo.
That's a way to do it. Shitty logo.
Dude, I got to pick the teams I think that's going to go, because if it ends up working out, I
That's
look
true.
like a genius.
That's true.
I have to do it. I think I'm going to go. Oh, dude, this is hard. Fuck. I'm going to go Guild, Esports, and TSM.
Okay. Okay. You know, coming into this, I was gonna pick TSM, but watching the games today, I don't think it's coming together for them. I think I'm gonna go Crazy Raccoon and NRG. I feel like NRG was right there all day today. I feel like they can definitely sneak it in. But yeah, that's who I'm going.
No, I'm gonna switch mine off TSM. You convinced me. I'm gonna. What I said.
You said
Guild,
TSM
right?
and Guild, yeah.
I'm gonna go Crazy Raccoon, Guild.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Crazy
like it.
Raccoon, Guild.
And
Yeah.
I get a little stat here. So right now, in the finals lobby from the 18 teams that have qualified, we've got 1, 2, 3, 5 NA teams, 7 EU teams,
Ooh.
and then 2 teams from APAC South, 2 teams from North, and then both the South America teams.
Both the South American teams.
So far we got a EU heavy.
Yeah, some are saying
Finals lobby.
South America 100% hit rate on their teams.
Yeah, that's.
Some are saying
NA washed.
Some are saying NA washed. Imagine if both of these two spots don't get filled NA, which I did pick two non-NA teams. I picked Crazy Raccoon and Guild. That would be crazy. Who gets dead last?
Dead last in this lobby?
We have to say who's going to get dead last, because we already know when we say it, they're going to win.
They're going to win, yeah.
I'm going to say Red Rams.
Red Rams? I'm going to say Space Station.
You think they're that bad right now?
I think they are.
They looked like shit. They did not look good. They did not look good at all. Okay, so that should just about do it for the last chance. Tomorrow we'll be back with what happens with the last chance. We might even have a special guest. I was texting Finn today. Finn said, "Hey, I might be down to hop on one of these." I tried to get him here tonight. He said no for tonight. Well, at first he was like, "Hold on, let me check." Then he was like, maybe tomorrow. So we might have Finn on here tomorrow, which would be a fun
That
time.
would be huge.
That would be a fun time. I also want to give a quick shout out to Jayhawk. In the middle of one of his segments, or I was watching a game, and I was like, I wonder if I texted Jayhawk if he would even respond. I text Jayhawk. I say, hey, on your next segment, if you're really about it, work in these 3 zombies maps into your analysis and breakdown. It was Revelations, it was Origins, and it was Buried. And he didn't respond at all. So I was like, all right, he's probably not going to do it. I'm sitting there at work listening to him break stuff down, and I hear all these teams are getting buried at the bottom of the leaderboard. I go, oh shit. And then I'm like, is he going to do it again? Then they threw it over to everybody else on the panel. It's going around. I'm like, I don't think he's going to have any time. Then it goes back. It's like, yeah, with some of these teams drop spots, they could have a revelation. Oh shit. All he needs is one more, Origins. That should be the easiest one. This could be your origin story to winning Esports World Cup. That's what I'm thinking. He doesn't get it in. Didn't get it in. But he did get 2 out of the 3. So I got to shout out Jayhawk. And then I sent him one for tomorrow's broadcast. This one should be easier. All he has to work in is Nocturne Toten, Derizendrock, and Shino Numa.
I mean, yeah, those are just...
those should be easy to fit in, I think. Yeah. Those should be pretty simple. But shout out Jayhawk for working those in. I actually might send him something tomorrow that's like working in last names of NFL quarterbacks. I might send him like Burrow. What would be another one? Be like, this team got burrowed in a hole.
If you could get like Mahomes in there, just because it's like way out there, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be funny. I think I might do that. I think I might send him NFL quarterbacks. Or I just send him like, see how many NFL quarterback names you can get in the broadcast. We'll go from there. I might do that.
I mean, 0, like Tom Brady of Apex. I feel like that's pretty easy.
Yeah, 0. You could be like, yeah, 0 right now. Or, well, no, because it's the losers bracket.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So he would have to say like, shit. Damn. It might be tough. It might be tough for him.
It might be.
I'm going to look through all the quarterback names, and I'm going to try to get as many as I can that can be worked into another English word that he can use it as a descriptor. And I'm going to see how many NFL quarterback names he can get into the broadcast. That's what I'll do tomorrow. Okay. Well, ladies and gents, thank you guys for tuning into the mini-sode episode number 2 for group stage, day number 2. Tomorrow, like I said, we might have a special guest. Finn might get busy. I don't know, but he did say he wanted to hop on. So we might have Finn on tomorrow. If not, it'll just be me and Connor going through the losers bracket. Probably not going to be the longest pod tomorrow because it's really just 2 teams are moving on. So we'll probably just talk about those 2 teams. And then, I mean, maybe it could be, is it 10 games or is it match point?
It is, it shows 10
I think it's 10 games. Yeah, it's 10 games. Yeah. So they have to play 10 games, and whoever has the most points, unless something crazy happens. Yeah. The last 2 days we've had our first place teams just carry most of the lobbies. So that could happen. But if it doesn't, we might have a crazy ending we can talk about. But for the most part, really just 2 teams that we're going to be mentioning. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm excited to see it. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you. Love you guys so much. And we'll see you tomorrow. See ya.